Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. Hello, film fans. Welcome to our Zoom meeting with Louis Savy, which is the director and founder of London SciFi Film Festival. Also joined, yes, nice shirt. Also is joining today our meeting Irina Margareta Nistor, which is the jury president of the Galactic Imaginarium Film Festival. Welcome, Irina, also.
Thank you.
And now a few words about our guest. We are welcoming Louis Savy, a known British professional in the film and sci-fi domain. He is based in London and is the founder and director of the London Sci-Fi Film Festival, which had its 23rd edition this year. Congratulations, Louis.
Thank you.
Also is a board member of the Silber Salz. Maybe I do it right.
It's German for silver salt.
Silver Salt, okay.
Yeah,
Science Festival, very interesting, in Hallneustadt area, Germany, since 2018. Louis is closely involved in the film production with the SciFi Factory, which is film and event production, his own company. The SciFi Factory is set to make short and feature films, develop online and TV shows, and work with institutions of all kinds who want to add science fiction to their thinking. Louis is founder of London East TV since 2018, which is an online news and culture platform for local people by local people, serving Newham, Hackney, and Tower Hamlets. Okay, and lastly but not least, is also an external examiner at Chelsea, Camberwell, and Wimbledon Colleges of Art since 2018, and an associate lecturer at Richmond, the American International University in London since 2022. Long presentation. This means a valuable guy. Louis, thank you for accepting to be special online guest at our film festival.
Pleasure. Really glad to be here and to talk about my favorite subject, science fiction. So,
as mine's very, very dear to me subject. When did you discover your love for films and for science fiction genre, and which was the first one?
It's a difficult question to answer because it was a long time ago, and so it's trying to remember what the main triggers were. But I think certainly as a child I read lots of sci-fi literature. Most of the books I read were sci-fi. I enjoyed comics. I wasn't a big comics fan, but things like the X-Men and those kind of things, they're much more sciencey feeling comics interested me. And I think the film that probably blew my mind more than anything else was Planet of the Apes, which I wasn't allowed to see when it came out. Obviously, I think I was 6 years old or something. So, but I read the book when I was about 12, and I couldn't wait to see the film. And as soon as I got a chance to see the film, it blew my mind. I think it's just a fantastic, absolutely brilliant movie. I love the opening, the sort of the voyage into the unknown, and their sort of, just slow pace of the science fiction beginning with the ship, and then, Charlton Heston packing them all down ready to go off on the journey. But what amazed me more than anything else is it was nothing to do with the book. It's completely unlike the story in the book. And that then fired up my imagination into, well, okay, the book's the book, the film's the film. They don't have to be the same thing. They don't have to represent the same thing necessarily. And I'd been watching a lot of stuff that was fed on the TV, but I then started to actively try and find sci-fi movies and TV. I really loved the Twilight Zone. And still to this day, I can just, if Twilight Zone is ever on the TV, or I feel like I need to escape, I'll watch a Star Trek original series episode or the Twilight Zone, and then I don't, then I can put the world back in context.
How were your first 5 years as director of the film festival when I suppose the festival was not so visible?
Well, it was great. I mean, it was every year it's been really good highs. The lows of any festival, as you well know, are money more than anything else, and it's just that, it's money. Everything else we can deal with. Everything else we can, if a guest can come or can't come, if a film falls out or is in, or if a film doesn't turn up and it's late. I mean, if it's an audience, everything is copable with, but you need money.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and we were incredibly lucky. In fact, in our first year, I had the idea to start the festival, and I started to call around. I put a very small proposal together. I wasn't sure quite how it would be, but I wanted to have something that I would want to go to. So, and at that time, my initial feeling was, I want to see all the classics. I want to see all the things that I've seen on TV, or I now have VHS copies of. I want to see those in the cinema. Big dark room, massive screen, really good sound system. That's what I want. So that's what I wrote down. The SciFi Land is going to be this. It's going to show all this great stuff. It's going to be a serious look at the genre. And I managed to get a meeting with what it was then called the Sci-Fi Channel. And they were an American broadcaster, but they had an English division, and the UK division were separate to the US one. They had their own budgets and so on. And I managed somehow to get a meeting with them. And I walked in and I said, this is what we want to do. And they said, this is brilliant. This is exactly what we need to do, because people think sci-fi is rubbish and silly and for kids, and we want a serious look as well. We'll support you. So they made a TV commercial. They helped us do, a lot of promotion. They put some money into the festival. We were, I walked out of there with a huge smile on my face. I couldn't believe it. So right place, right time. We were just really lucky. I did have a friend who was a film festival professional. He helped work on lots of film festivals. He buys and sells movies around the world, and he helped start the Toronto International Film Festival. And I rang him and said, I'm going to start a film festival. Okay. He said, you're going to need a film. And I said, well, of course, I know, but I want to show some classics, and we're going to show. And he said, yeah, but for a film festival, you need new material. Let me see if I can get you a premiere of something that's science fiction. Fine, got it. Okay. And again, just timing more than anything else. Ken Russell, who you will have heard of, made Altered State. I mean, some amazing films, but he's sort of a big sci-fi that, I guess was Altered States. Was shooting his first independent feature film using mini DV cameras. Okay. And he shot it all at his home with a load of actor friends, and we had the world premiere. He got the world premiere of that film for us at my first festival in central London.
Incredible luck.
Absolutely. Ken Russell said, I'll come. And he came and he brought, the cast, and we had a sold out screening with the cast and crew, and the Sci-Fi Channel paid for a party, and they invited, big guests that they knew. We had Anthony Daniels was there. I mean, it was all sorts of, sort of faces and names came along to have our first year.
Just to make a comparison, our first year was 2020, COVID year.
God, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't envy you that at all. I don't envy you that. Like I said, it was luck. It was more than anything else. It wasn't anything that we'd done. I mean, other than decide that we were going to start a festival, and just instead of trying to you know, think about it and do all this planning and planning. I literally, I mean, even our typeface, you know, you can see somewhere up on, where is it? There we go, up on there, SciFi London logo, is a cheap, free typeface. It's called Alien League, and the reason we use that is because I got this meeting with the Sci-Fi Channel and went, oh damn, right, I better look serious. So I looked for sci-fi fonts, found that one that looks a bit like the Alien movie, but I've downloaded that, you know, typed what we're going to call ourselves. I don't know, we're going to show sci-fi when we're in London. Let's call ourselves SciFi London, that'll do. You know, put it on a piece of paper, went to the meeting, came out with them saying we love it, we're gonna support you. And then so since then I thought, that's it, I'm not going to change that typeface is, that logo, that's ours now. We have to stay with that. But again, it was really, really luck that did it. The second year, they'd all been fired. Another channel had bought the Sci-Fi Channel, and they got rid of all those marketing people and brought a new team in. And the new team said, no, we don't have any money. There's no budget at all. We can't, you know. So then it was down to us. And we had very little in the way of funding. And we just went, well, we've done it once. How hard can it be? Let's see what we can do. I hope I'm still broadcasting because you've frozen, Darius.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
It's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, so we had nothing the second year, but I decided let's see what we can do. And we managed in the end to raise enough money to be able to move the films around, you know, bring the films in from overseas. We did some very cheeky things, you know, we were after Moriyoshi's movie Avalon, his first live action film, which is great if you haven't seen it. It's all shot in Hungary, and it's a you know, a very early sort of cyberpunk matrixy film. It's really good, but we couldn't, you know, the distributor wouldn't give it to us because we didn't have a budget behind us and all this other thing. And in the end, we just put it in our program and said, look, we're going to blackmail you. We're going to tell everyone we're showing it, so you give us the film or be embarrassed. And we got the film. And so I just said that we have to just do it. We have to just be very guerrilla. We have to be very strong and determined to do what we want to do. And we did year 2, and then year 3, we were still there, a little bit money, you know. And again, it's again, as you know, it's from then on. It's the same every year. You know, we have to try and raise enough money to make it work. If we don't raise enough money, then we make it work with what we've got. And we put an addition on, whether that's us showing, you know, 10 films with one guest, or whether that's showing 50 films and we have 30 guests. You know, for us, it's all about putting the cinema experience together with people who love science fiction. So and now actually more so we're starting to look back online, where I didn't really want to do it come COVID years. Yes. But actually I found that the people are so used to watching things now at home and enjoying that experience, and there's a lot of filmmakers now who, you know, have only ever seen their films on, you know, laptops and big TVs and so on. So I thought, well, why don't we do that? So this next edition of the festival, we're going to have a much bigger focus on having online as well, and trying to get people to be able to then sit in their own space and interact with us digitally. So yeah, long answers, sorry.
Very nice.
Very useful also. Yes, intriguing.
Always the story beats everything. So the story was very, very nice. And you said the one of your biggest problem is, as always in film festival, the money. But did you have any other major problems. And what were your highest moments of joy during the festival's history?
Again, another kind of difficult question, because every year there's always something. There's getting Avalon from a distributor called Wild Bunch was absolutely brilliant. Memoria, she's brilliant. Having Ken Russell there, having we had the world premiere of Chemical Wedding, which was a film written and directed by Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, and directed by Julian. Name's gone. Julian Richards, I think, who worked on Monty Python, on the Monty Python films. And we had the world premiere of that, and they came, and we had Iron Maiden sitting in the audience watching, and Bruce Dickinson and Simon Callow, who was in the film, great British actor, coming out and standing in front of the thing at my film festival. I had Iron Maiden there. I mean, it was just as a bit of a rock fan, it was an absolute highlight. But over the years, we've had some brilliant guests. We had one night William Hurt walked in, just came to see a movie. We've had, comedians walked in. We had Kylie Minogue came to see a film. We're in the West End, and it's just nice that, and what we don't do is go off and run and tell the press, that they've arrived. So they can come and watch the film. That's that we want them there as film fans. I don't know, other highlights. 2012 festival, the poster is a very strange kind of looking tunnel with this creature in silhouette walking into the distance, and that's my 2-year-old son. And it's a photograph that I took on my old mobile phone of him playing in the park. And I didn't even realize, it was a sunny day, and he went into this kind of tunnel in the park, and I took a picture. And when I got home, I was going through the pictures on the phone. I went, oh, wow, that's the cover for this year's festival. And so stuff, things like that have been great highlights. We've had some really good jurors over the years. We don't have a jury system for the films we screen, unlike lots of festivals. It just always seems a little strange to me to have a festival where we pick all the films, and then we invite, even though they're experts for the most part, but we invite other people to then come and see just the films we've picked, and then tell us which is their favorite. So it's got nothing to do with me, other than I've given you so I've laid out 10 different cookies in front of you and said, you pick the one that you like the best, but I picked the cookies, and now I don't have a say in that. So we decided at the beginning, said, no, we'll pick the best film, because we picked the films. We picked all the films. We watched hundreds and hundreds of films to pick the 20 we're showing. And out of the 20 we've got, we think that's the best one, or that's our favorite one. And in fact, in some years, we couldn't decide, so we didn't give an award, because this film is as good as that film, but they're so different. How can we say that this is a better science fiction film than this science fiction film? This one's about time travel, and this one's about space, and this one was made for $20 million, and this one was made for $200. What is it that makes? And I enjoyed both of them just as much as the other. Well, let's not give anyone an award. Just, they're all good because we picked them. So, but over the years we've had some. We run a film competition, a film making competition.
Yes, I know.
Called the 48.
My daughter also participated in
fantastic. Competition. This year, or she's done it?
I think last year.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. Can you remember?
With the crew, she was part of the crew.
Fantastic. All right. Well, if you can remember the name of the film, let me know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will send the name to you.
Okay. So we've been running that for 15 years now, that competition, and it was luck. wasn't really other than we were just there. It's happy accident. I think that's the phrase that's more to do with Sci-Fi London than a lot of things. It's a happy accident. So we had John Landis as I know John, and we had him at the festival as a guest. And that year we started the 48-hour film challenge in 2008 and asked him to be a juror. And a young filmmaker called Gareth Edwards, or a young effects artist, he'd made some TV and done quite well making TV effects, but he'd never made a film, loves John Landis. And he really loved, American Werewolf and, Trading Places. And he wanted to make a film that John Landis might see, because we have, however many films were made, we shortlist it to 10 films. We pick those and then we give that to that jury, because there we do want the expertise and we do want people to give a critical eye over and come fresh to that, because we know the films, we wrote the titles, we wrote the dialogue, we wrote the prop list, we make all of that up and then give it to the filmmakers. Anyway, Gareth won that year because his film was so good and he got through to the shortlist. And for those of you who don't know who he is, Gareth Edwards then went on. He's only made 4. His 5th film is coming out in 2 weeks. So he made a 5-minute short for our 48-hour. He then made his first independent feature off the back of the short. Someone said, if you can do that with no money in a weekend, what can you do with a small budget? And he made Monsters, which is a great film, really, really well shot, beautiful to look at, good actors, well directed, great effects, really low budget. He then made Godzilla. He brought Godzilla back. He then made Star Wars Rogue One, which I still think is one of the best Star Wars films. That and the Andor series, absolutely brilliant. And his new film, The Creator, is out on the 28th of September, I think. It's 5 films. That's, from a young guy who just entered this competition. Again, for us, it's a happy accident. We didn't do anything except set this thing up, have John Landis on as a juror because we happen to know him. It was this young guy entered, he won, he went, and his career just went and took off, But from there, and because we had John Landis in the first year of that competition, John was great. He gave us some contacts. So we've had Benedict Cumberbatch do it. We've had Guillermo del Toro as a juror. We've had Frank Darabont. We've had Warwick Davis, the actor. We've had, some amazing people involved in that. One of my highlights still is someone who's become a good acquaintance. I wouldn't say a friend necessarily, but a good acquaintance, just because I don't see her enough. Is someone called Dr. Cyan Proctor, and she was a juror a couple of years ago for us, and she is the first female African American to go into space.
Oh.
And I met her many years ago at CERN, a film festival, at the Cine Globe Film Festival that Neil Hartman runs, which is brilliant. If you ever get a chance to go, it's really good. It's really good. And to then go and have a look around the CERN complex and so on, and just hang out with all these physicists. They're just, there's brains walking around. It's like being in Mars Attacks. There's all these, giant brains walking around everywhere. Anyway, I met her there, and we've spoken. And anyway, she agreed to be a juror for me, and she's been to space. That's, it's for whatever else, science and all those other things. She was a pilot for SpaceX and took up the Inspiration 4 mission. And she watched 10 of the films that were shot in a weekend, that we'd made the titles. It's that stuff that you can't buy it.
Yes.
You can't plan it necessarily. All you can do is ask the person if they'll do something and hope that someone will make a film and that you end up, it's so it's 23 years. There's lots of highlights. You've got a lot to come, because it's your fresh festival, right? So you've got all of this stuff, that you can again, you know, do what we all do, which is look at everyone else's festival, you know, think that's a stupid idea, we're never going to do that, and that's a great idea, we can do that, but we'll do it differently, or do it so it fits with our audience or my take on it. So, you know, and then one day someone's going to turn up your festival and you just go, fuck, how did that happen? You know, yeah, I kind of envy that. It's a bit like having children, you know, envy what, you know, what the next lot of festival directors are going to be doing, you know, and all the new festivals. There's a new festival that's just started in Korea, called SciFi Fan Fest or SciFest Fans or something like that, which I found a couple of days ago. You know, there are new ones popping up all the time. And I think the more festivals that there are, it's more important, I think, to have a curated experience these days, because there's so much stuff.
Yeah,
there's so much content out there, and the streamers are all fighting for our, you know, for our dollars every month, and actually are giving us less choice in a way. Although they're all, you know, there's lots of them, they are not making, you know, they're not. Where are the indie movies? You know, I'm looking at the Hugo Awards for this year from the World Science Fiction Convention, and all of the short form nominees are from big American TV companies. And all of the films in the Hugo Award list are all Hollywood mainstream films, pretty much. I think there may be bar one. So what we're getting is what Disney and Netflix and Amazon and Apple want us to watch, and putting all this money in, and they're ultimately doing it, as Jeff Bezos said, to sell more shoes. You know, Jeff Bezos doesn't care really about, I know he wants to go to space, but that's because he's a madman, right? And he's got the money to do it. So good luck to him, and I hope he succeeds in his mission. But the stuff they make on Amazon that they don't really care about, you start to look at what is actually available on Amazon Prime, what they want you to do is to keep your Prime subscription. They want you to keep paying every month or every year for that subscription, and go, I know, I'll order a pair of shoes from there. I won't go to the store. I'll just get a pair online and have them delivered, and Amazon make a few quid. And it's really good, Amazon, because it didn't cost me anything extra for delivery. Oh, and they've got TV, and they've got these films, and they've got, you know. So if you want to see good, independent, well-constructed, political, controversial, challenging, and entertaining cinema and TV, you've got to go find it. And that could mean just going to, you know, YouTube, but really they're in the same business as everyone, as Amazon and Netflix anyway. Or hopefully go to some festivals. And I would always, anyone out there who's at this festival watching it, all power to your elbow. You are miraculous people using your brains. Yeah, sorry, that's a bit of a rant. I went off on one. Next question.
Very, very entertaining indeed. Could you share with us some memories about your interaction with some famous persons involved in science fiction films or this domain?
Yeah, memories with and interactions. I'm trying to think of, well, I'll go back to the Iron Maiden Bruce Dickinson one. We were really lucky that year. I can't remember which version, but the Xbox was coming out, and they were trying to push the Xbox as hard as they could, Microsoft, and they gave us 12 Xbox units to give away at the festival, as long as they could have some, you know, publicity and marketing and material and all that sort of stuff. So it's great for us because we had 12 machines to give out, and actually on one of them, I had this big box with a console in it, and I was walking into the cinema to introduce the next film, and someone in the audience went, "Can I have that?" And I said, "Yeah, go on then, here." And I just threw it and just gave it to them, and everyone went, "What?" Don't ask, you don't get. Right, anyway, thank you for coming. Tonight's film is, and we carried on. So that was nobody famous. But the next Xbox I gave away, I went and asked Bruce Dickinson to sign it. So, and he did a nice little, signature on it, and, love Bruce Dickinson, I'm Maiden and all that sort of stuff. So, and then I took that one into the screening of his film and stood there with it out of the box, lifted it, and it was signed, and and so that was a really nice thing to give away. And it got him to ask the question, if I can't even remember what it was now, but he asked the question to get them to win, put the hand up first and win it. And that same year we had Mark Caro, the film director, was there as a guest, and he directed Delicatessen and City of the Lost Children, and his last film was Dante 01. And he's a great guy. He's a really, really, really funny guy. Really into comic books. Amazing knowledge of comic books. And he asked if he could decorate one. So he's an illustrator by training and an artist. So he got one of these Xboxes and some permanent ink, and he decorated this thing. It was absolutely beautiful, really, really beautiful. And again, it was one of those things that we gave away at the festival. What else have we had? John Landis was great, fun as well. We've had Marina Sirtis and people, we've had all sorts of people through the doors. We've had all sorts of, and if we can't get them, then we do, we were very early in doing things like this. I remember when we screened, I can't remember the name of the film now, it's gone, but Roddenberry, Gene Roddenberry's son, couldn't, he was in the US, but it was really early days of us using Skype when it would kind of just started, and we said, well, let's get them in, and we can do this. And we had two laptops, one in the cinema pointing at the audience, and one on the, we had all this cables running everywhere, just to get, and we managed to do it and get Roddenberry up on the big screen, and he could see us, and we could see, the audience could all see and hear him. It was great. And we did a Q&A with him. And we also did that with, we went a bit more sophisticated. We did it with the guys from Bros, Luke Goss, the actor, who's in Blade 2, and we've done a lot of sci-fi. And Robert, his name was gone, he's in Stargate, and he plays the bad. Well, anyway, he'll come back. But they were in Burbank in California, and we wanted to do a Q&A, and we couldn't afford to bring them over. There was no way. So, but we paid for a studio in Burbank and got them to go there and then connect to go there and have a Skype or a proper high-speed line connection with us to the cinema, which is really cool. So yeah, I can't think of, I'm sure as we're talking something else may pop into my head, but next question.
What do you think is the greatest achievement of the Sci-Fi London Film Festival?
Oh, I don't know. I think, well, with my business festival director hat on, it's just still being here. it's probably our greatest achievement. Yeah, because that's, again, as you know, it's all about money and audience. If we don't have the money to do the thing, and then nobody turns up, then what are we doing it all for? So the fact that we still have an audience, that we still have people who find us and who didn't know us before, and that's, even going for this long and being in London, I can walk down the street here and 1 in 50 people, and will have heard of us. The rest of us have never have heard of SciFi London because there's so much to do here and there's so much noise and you're fighting it. So the fact that we just still exist, I think, is a big achievement. The thing I'm probably the proudest of is the 48-hour film challenge. I think more than anything else. We've seen some great films and we've put some really amazing content out there, and we've had some brilliant filmmakers come back here, and every time they've made a film, like Corey Maccabee, the first independent film I ever screened was The American Astronaut. That was in January 2002, and this year we screened another film by the same director, and he came to the festival. He didn't come in the first year because we couldn't afford to bring him, but this year he came to the festival and we showed Deep Space, Deep Astronomy and the Romantic Sciences, his new film, and he came and did a really long Q&A, and it was lovely, and he's a real indie maverick filmmaker. If you haven't seen any of his stuff, I highly recommend it. Corey Maccabee, American Astronaut. That's there, the camera. Go and find it. Black and white space musical. There we are. So yeah, that stuff. But the 48-hour, we've had some amazing films produced through that. And having Gareth Edwards, do what he's done, again, not because of us directly in any way, it's his talent. But if we hadn't have started it, who knows whether what the journey he'd have had would be, again, happy accidents. And we had a film, I think probably it was the second or third short film that Daisy Ridley was in. We've had films with David Hasselhoff. The very first film written by an artificial intelligence was made for the 48-hour film challenge.
Very nice.
7 or so years ago, maybe 8 years ago now. And then the same team that entered with the AI, it did a sequel the following year, and it was even better. And it was about AIs writing content for more AIs to watch, and they didn't need the writers anymore. It's the Writers Guild are on strike now, and this film is 6-7 years old and predicted exactly what was going to happen. And that had David Hasselhoff in it, and everything that he said was written by an algorithm. So it's 23 years. There's a lot of stuff that when I sort of start thinking back, I think actually that was pretty cool. That was fun. We did this. I did a mini. It's not a festival. I did some shorts programs for an analog astronaut mission in Poland. So there was 6 or 8 astronauts, and they go into a habitat for 2 months, and they pretend that they're living on the moon, and everything they do is subject to those rules. So they can't just go outside, or that if they leave the compound part that they're in, they have to put suits on to do their EVA. They can't just get things delivered. They can't, their trash has to be dealt with in the right way and all that sort of stuff. And I did a little shorts program, a couple of shorts programs, which we transmitted to them for the crew entertainment, along with a friend of mine who'd written a new board game, and we sent them 3D files and documents so they could print the game on the moon with the instructions and play it and stuff like that. What else did we do? And with the other thing also is that there was, I can't remember the name of the film, but apparently on lots of Russian space missions back in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a crewed mission going up, and the night before they leave, they had to do a quarantine.
Okay.
So they are taken to a hotel, quarantine, then the next day they get on the spacecraft and take off. They sneaked a film, or they watched a film, which I can't remember what it was now, sorry, but it's a Russian a kind of adventure westerny kind of, you know, it's a bit like a Indiana Jones kind of, you know, it's a big action film, Russian production, and they sneaked a bottle of vodka. They took a bottle of vodka in, and they drank the vodka and watched this movie. Yeah, geez, we're all going to go off in a space rocket tomorrow. You know, this could be it. Let's yay! So the mission was a success, and then every mission since then apparently has been watching this film and having a vodka on the quarantine night. This is what I'm told. I'm told by the mission commander for the Lunaris mission in Poland, and she's an artist called Sarah Jane Pell, and she's an artist as well as a scientist. And she said, I want to shake everything up a little bit. I want to just try some new things, you know, rather than just following the traditions all the time, you know, because there's no proof of, you know, it's that any of this, that luck is a thing in that way. So she said, pick me a new film. You know, we're going to take we're not going to take vodka in, we're going to drink fruit juice, you know, and have a cup of tea. We're going to do whatever else, but I want we will watch a movie. So why don't you, as SciFi London, pick a film for the crew? Eight crew members, international. So they're from I can't remember now, but you know, there's a Australian, a South American, two Europeans. So it's a mix of people. Cyan Proctor was there, the pilot of the SpaceX mission. She was on the mission as a cook and I think she's geologist is training, if I remember. What film would you pick? Come on, I'll throw that at you. They're going to space tomorrow. The ship could blow up. They could get stuck. Anything could happen. This is the last film they're going to see. What would you show them?
I don't know, maybe 2001.
Yeah. Okay. Ella Margaretha, what would you show them?
She's not with us.
That's a shame. That's
sorry.
a shame. Okay, no worries. No worries. So, well, I'll tell you what we showed them. We showed them Galaxy Quest. Because, you know Galaxy Quest?
Yes, I know, but I didn't see it.
Right. So your mission, Jim, should you choose to accept it, your mission is, and everyone else out there watching it, if you haven't seen it, then you should disconnect now. Galaxy Quest 1999, Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Sam Rockwell. It's a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. It's a comedy. It's really funny, really funny. But it's kind to fans. There's a lot of films are made about fandom and in and around fandom, which kind of put us up. What they say is about storytelling, you put them up a tree and then throw stones at them. No, right? And that's a little bit, you know, we're sort of seen as, you know, people who like science fiction as strange and geeky and nerdy and, you know, incomplete in some way, very needy, which is probably true in a lot of instances, but it doesn't make us bad people, right? But Galaxy Quest is a proper hard sci-fi film. So I can't continue that story really, because if you haven't seen it, you won't understand. But you've got to see it. It's brilliantly funny. It's really well told. It's got everything. I defy you not to enjoy it. There is actually a documentary that was made about it, and it's been, I think, on IMDb and a few other places, it's been said to be the best film ever made by a lot of people, and I would absolutely agree with it. It's thoroughly entertaining, but it's hard sci-fi. It's proper hard sci-fi as well. So anyway, that's what I chose for them, and it will mean more if you've seen the film, because they thought I was, if you're aware of the phrase, taking the piss. They thought I was taking the mickey out of them, you know, that I was being rude to their effort, you know, going into space, but pretend space, because it was an analog mission, not a real, you know, launch. And I said, no, this is, you know, again, it's a really good, hopeful. The problem with, because I think you're right, first thought for me was 2001 as well, but 2001 is miserable. It's really miserable.
Yeah, it's
It
depressing for to start a mission with the 2001.
exactly. It's not a hopeful film. It's a, oh shit, you know, right. So we're not alone. They've turned up. They're gonna, you know, something's gonna happen. It's you know, I mean, it's an amazing film.
Now cross my mind Logan's Run, maybe.
Logan's Run, quite up, yeah,
because it's about a habitat and
upbeat end. And it's yeah, it's a really simple, you know, really simple adventure tale. It's you know, it's a really, I love Logan's Run a lot. I thought it was a great film. Little long, you know, even when you watch it back. But yeah, but that's when you start to think about it, you start looking at, okay, well, it could be that and this one, you know, but then that's in a world that's already been screwed up. And then, you know, and the answer is to break the thing that they did to try and make it a better, you know, because they at least try to preserve the humor, you know. So there's so many different logic points, if you like, within it. Galaxy Quest, I'll give you a very quick summary of it. Galaxy Quest is about a show like Star Trek.
Okay.
And it was a big show with all these stars in it, and it's now off the air. And the stars can't get any more work. They're going around opening supermarkets and doing bad commercials,
that kind of stuff,
right? You know, so you can exactly see that that's, you know, George Takei, bless him. You know, even William, you know, Shatner, you know, he's always Kirk. I don't care what he's in, he's Kirk, right? He's not going to be anyone. It's never anyone else. I can't see anyone else. He's just, you know, it's Kirk. TJ Hooker is Kirk. You know, the Tech Wars, he's Kirk. So this show is off the air, but they're doing conventions. So they're coming to events and signing photographs. And one of the people in the cast, Alan Rickman, who was the villain in Die Hard, the German villain in Die Hard.
Okay.
Brilliant British actor, sadly died a few years ago. He plays the Spock type character in Galaxy Quest, and he hates it. He hates himself because he's a brilliantly trained English character actor, and he's playing in this crappy American sci-fi show with a bloody wig and I hate it. I'm better than this. He's that kind of character. Anyway, they're at a convention because they have to earn some money, so they earn a living. And these people turn up and say, "We need your help." And Tim Allen, who's a bit of a drunk, says, "Yeah, fine, whatever." He thinks he's going to another convention. Okay. He gets in their car to go off to this little gig. He thinks he's doing a gig on the side. And he gets zapped up onto their spaceship and flies off to another galaxy where they built a ship to the specification of the one that's in their TV show. They are brilliant engineers, brilliant, you know, but they're at war. And the only thing they can think of is that they keep seeing these documentaries called Galaxy Quest about this amazing crew that beat up aliens all over the universe. So let's get them to come and help us.
Yes.
So they think it's a real show. They think it's documentary.
Okay. And a really funny situation. It really
goes from there. It is outstanding. It's a brilliant film. I highly recommend it. I can't even remember why I was talking. Oh yeah, because I chose it for the mission. So again, happy accidents, things like that, as things that I've been able personally, I've been able to do because I have started a film festival. You know, have been brilliant. highlights, and there's still more to come, I'm sure. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. 23 years is a long way to go, and I hope you will have also at least that long time of
I don't know if I'll get another 23.
yes, but I'm sure that your vision about making a science fiction film festival transformed over the years. Could you tell us more about this?
Yeah, well, I mean, every year every year it's funny. I don't know how you are as a festival director, but every year the festival is an absolute mad time, real highlight. Lots of stuff going on. You get really good highs, a few kind of madness, no sleep, too much alcohol if you drink, all those. And then at the end of it, you collapse, and then probably within a week, I've got the blues because I'm not on that adrenaline anymore.
Yes.
And then within 3 or 4 weeks, I'm then going, oh, now I've got to go and start again and raise all that. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And 6 months later, I don't want to do this anymore. We haven't got enough money. Why am I doing this? Nobody asked me to do this. And then we get nearer and nearer to the festival, and you come back up on a high again. So that's kind of that's normal business. In terms of a vision, there's always the things every year, we go back over the things that we did that we really enjoyed, the things that we'd like to do, the things where, again, I'm looking at your festival, I'm looking at Sitges, I'm looking at festivals, at Rain Dance, Sundance. I'm looking at, not even genre festivals, looking at just thinking, well, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to nick that. I'm going to steal that idea, and I'm going to adapt it to make it feel like a SciFi London thing. Because I think what you do is you do that instead, and it'll make it something more fun for us to do. So every year the vision is, let's carry on doing what we do, and we'll bring in and try some new things and see how they work. So, after 8 years of doing SciFi London, that's when I said, no, I started to meet a lot of filmmakers and saying that, have you made a sci-fi? And people get saying, we don't have any money to make a sci-fi. We don't have that budget. So of course we haven't made a sci-fi. And I said, well, what do you need the money for? If you want to make something that looks like Avatar, you need $200 million or whatever. You need lots and lots of money and lots of people and lots of time. But if you take a film like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, if you take out the mad, big Gondry set pieces, the story and the sci-fi that's in it are nothing. The story is really simple. There's a machine that can edit your memories. You can take the memories out. They can be stored on a cassette for you and given to you, but they can be picked out and taken out of your brain. The machine looks like a piece of kitchenware for draining vegetables, and a box with 2 wires and a couple of buttons, and that's the effect budget, right? And then you've got a brilliant film. You spend $20 million on the stars and the actors, and you spend all that money on, but you could make that money, that film, for free. You could shoot that on an iPhone, right? And you could have no actors you've ever heard of in it, new actors, fresh out of college, right? And you can make the device getting some out of your mum's kitchen, and a couple of wires, but the story is the same. The girl takes, the boy isn't in, she says she doesn't love him. They split up. He's going to get rid of her memories because it's too painful. Finds out that she's done the same, but ultimately love is stronger. Love is stronger than, and brings them back together. Right? That's the film. That's the story, right? So what do you need $20 million for? There
are many examples like this. Let's take Primer, which is a very good film. Yeah. And they just had the box for the time machine. And
it's a washing machine. It's a washing machine. The initial one where it rattles, and they show the experiment. But it's a washing machine, yeah, and it
Wow.
cost $7,000. They said, it's for the film stock and the development of it. But the one thing of with all of doing that way is that Primer's a good example. Shane Carruth wrote it, edited it, wrote it, shot it, edited it, did the soundtrack for it, and was in it. And that's how it was so cheap. But if you wanted to do it with, 10 friends from film school, and you could still do, the budget that you need to find on a film is catering. That's the most important.
Yes.
The most important thing is feed everybody. Have backup drives, and some storage somewhere. Think about a decent sound, because I don't know whether your shot was supposed to be out of focus. I don't know whether the thing I'm supposed to be looking at is your feet for an hour.
But the sound must be pristine.
The sound has to work, otherwise I'm back in my chair, I'm back in my front room, or back in my cinema seat. Right?
Totally agree.
Yeah. So there's all of those things to consider, but you can do that all on budget, on low budget. You don't need lots of money. So that's why, again, in thinking about innovations for the festival, that 2008 year, I went, I'm tired of people telling me they can't make science fiction with no money. Let's do a 48-hour film challenge. I'd run something similar years before. I thought, well, I'll do one. It's just sci-fi. And you've got to we'll make it easy. It's a 5-minute film in a weekend. And we've had some brilliant films made, brilliant. Guys, a few years ago, their films won something like 23 awards now in other festivals. There are films that some of them have made, they did for nothing in a weekend, and they've sold them to dust, to the US.
Yes.
They pay for every film that they put on their channel, they buy it. And they've sold them, and they just did it in a weekend to enter my competition, but dust, don't know.
Yes.
So yeah, it's stuff like that. I think that in terms of this year or the upcoming, the innovation for us now is we're actually taking a sort of step to the side rather than back. So we're going to start looking more at doing something online. And I also am going to do something twice a year. And it may even up the frequency a little bit from that, just because for 23 years we've done the same thing. A mad week, nothing.
Yes.
A mad week, nothing for a year. So we're going to do an online, it's called the SciFi London list, and we're inviting films to submit to that. We'll curate that and then pick some winners from that as well, and give some awards for things that we think are worth awarding. And we'll do that in March, and then we'll do that in October each year. And then we'll look at taking some of the highlights from those online lists, and then creating a little mini real world festival event where we invite
interesting concept. Very interesting.
And do that, because that way, we get to see films. I mean, it's partly selfish, because again, I want to be able to see the film. That's the highlight for me every day, every year. The day we open submissions and the first film in, I just go, oh, yeah, you've got, and I always hope it's good, and I sit there and I can watch them and go, wow, that was, that's what I started the festival for. So, yeah, so we're looking at doing that. And we've got a few other ideas, a few other things that we're sort of kicking about as well. But I think because people are so used to seeing things online now, as I was saying earlier about curating and, where the films come from, I think I want to get something where we're picking some of the sci-fi we really love, new sci-fi that we really love, and then giving you somewhere to come and have a seat and come and have a look at it. And where we can, because obviously there's geo-blocking and, rights issues and premiere releases and all that kind of stuff. But, as long as filmmakers are happy.
It's not so complicated. We also have geo-blocking and one-time release or streaming
Yeah,
on our platform. So
exactly.
it's
Exactly.
not a big
And
deal.
then what would be really nice is that, you know, if in a year or 18 months time, the filmmakers say, actually, we've done our festival run, we've done all our premieres, and we're going to put it on YouTube now, that we can say, brilliant, okay, now let's put it in our archive so that people can come and they can always find it through us. If they can't find it if they have to search YouTube for it, they can find it through our platform, you know, and then we'll make it free. You know, it's all, you know, we can afford to give it all away because these platforms are all effectively free. So, yeah.
Nice vision. You said that you were stealing from other film festival, but what's your relationship with other film festival organizers?
With some of them it's great, some of them it's not so great, some of them I don't know at all. Again, it's one of those things over the years, you know, we've spoken a few times, you know, electronically, but not met, you know. This is the first time we've met face to face, and even this isn't real. It's, you know, although it's the technology, you know. Yeah, no, it's good. We all know each other's pain, you know, as other festival directors. We all know this, you know, we all go through the same rubbish. And some of us are really lucky and, you know, have a state-owned, you know, state-run, you know, highly funded, you know, national pride festival, you know, where they're given €1 million to run their event. And some of us have got, you know, if we're lucky, 1,000,000 cents, you know. You know, we got 50 cents to run our festival, but you know, we have the same, you know, same things, and we all love film, and we all love the same, you know, certainly with the sci-fi directors, you know, I know most people now over the years, and yeah, have good relationship with them. What I'd like to see is more, maybe more of a network between the festival directors. And I think you were going to ask me something about this later, but we're a few of us now are getting together, including you know, remotely, but to talk about how we can perhaps create some sort of, for want of a better Star Trek phrase, a federation, or an alliance, if that needs to be a thing. I don't know if it needs to be necessarily so formal, but it would be really nice to know that one day you ring me up and say, I've just seen this film and the guys are really nice and it's new and it's super low budget, and you know, they want to, can I send it to, you know, can they send it to you, you know, or why don't we get, you know, the guy, they're from Japan and they're going to come over to Europe. Well, look, when's your festival's a week after ours and yours is 2 weeks, you know, let's see if we can get here for 6 months and take them around all the you know, who knows how that will work. But I think it worked, you know, it only starts when we're all talking to each other. And we're all sharing. And at the same time, filmmakers, if you're out there listening, we also do talk to each other about those of you who are a pain in the arse. So there are blacklists, and just hope that your name isn't on it.
I was really lucky that I didn't get, in my only 4 years activity as a festival director, a person like that. But you, at your 33 edition, I suppose that you have some guys or girls who are paying back.
You know, I mean, and there's stories that you know, I'm not going to embarrass anyone, but yeah, I mean, I'll give you a story that Mitchell. It was, I remember one year, again, because we're in London, it's down to when we're all volunteers. You know, I don't get paid to do this. We're a volunteer. We're a volunteer the same as everyone else is. Where there's time within the festival run and the planning, if I try and make time to meet as many of the film directors as possible and get them together for networking in some way or other. Now that can be that we just have a drink in one of the bars. Could be we take them to lunch. One year we decided that I actually had a gap in my schedule, And I said, why don't we see who's in town and invite them all along? And we're in central London. We'll get a boat on the river, and we'll go up and down we'll go down to Greenwich. So we'll go from the Houses of Parliament, you know, all those London landmarks.
Yes, yes.
You know. We'll go under the Tower Bridge, which is the famous one that lifts, and
Yes, yes.
on the river we'll go down to, you know, the old palace, and we'll go down to Greenwich, where GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, comes from, and there's the observatory there. And
Yes.
in the park, there's actually a line in the road, and that line is GMT. You stand on one side or the other of GMT, right? And I know the public astronomer there,
Oh,
and he said, "Well, if you come, I'll take you on a private tour around the
very nice.
around the observatory." And we got to see the 400-year-old observatory and places that the public don't normally get to go. And then go and have lunch. So we said, let's do all of that. And we invited, all right, who's in town? There's this 15 filmmakers are here. We invited them all. Two of them turned up. And they left because we had to wait half an hour for
the boat.
and then they wrote us this stinking letter of, you know, we're only in London for a short time, you know, you made us wait out, you know, wait while you were organising getting tickets. I just, one of my team, I said, just go and get 50, because I don't know how many were going to turn up. They said they were coming, but we'll buy the tickets for the boat when we're there. And they went mad. And you just said, what do you want for free, for nothing, for as our guests, as our, you know? So I don't care when they make another film. If it's a really good film, I'll probably show it. If it's a really good film, but I don't want my festival. I don't want, you know, I don't want miserable people. I sound like I'm moaning, but I don't want miserable people at my festival. You know, I don't want. We're not funded. You know, we're not given. It's not a job. We're not you know, we're not Microsoft. We're not working for Google. You know, we're with a huge budget. We're, you know, a bunch of friends who love science fiction films, who happen to try and make something look as professional as we can. You know, that my wife's a designer, so, you know, she doesn't do a lot of the design work, but where I do it, or I commission it, or I get someone on the team to do something, she is very critical. So, which is perfect though, right? Where she said, no, you need to make sure that that's there, and this needs to be, and that font is horrible, and don't use that color, and, you know, that kind of. So our stuff looks good, and we bother to have, you know, we try and find the money to have a T-shirt on, and we do postcards, and, you know, we try and look after the website. I mean, it's just. And we get it wrong, the same as everyone else does, but we try to make it look like we've got 100 grand just dropped in our lap from Microsoft, you know, and their team, you know. But we're not that. And in the same way, filmmakers, I think, should understand that for the most part, they're in the same position. They've gone and begged and borrowed and stolen, and been nice to, and coerced and conned, and persuaded grannies and friends and family to get involved to help them make their film.
Yes.
They should be a little more humble sometimes. So I'll stop. Ramble over. Next question.
It was amazing for me to hear that 7 years or 6 years ago you had the first AI film in your 48-hour contest.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. And the question is about the future of the film festivals in the age of AI, TV and film production. What will be our role in this world?
I remember interviewing a sort of journalist and a futurist called Nick Negroponte many years ago, and he wrote a book called Being Digital, which was about the sort of birth of the internet. And I remember talking to him about, you know, being connected, and Zoom and email and all. I mean, Zoom didn't even exist, but, you know, teleconferencing as you know, I mean, if you think about, you know, multimedia and teleconferencing, all those words that nobody uses anymore, which in the 90s were cutting edge. You know, this technology was amazing, and how fast it has transformed. But talking about, you know, a lot of people are starting to say it's the death of the coffee shop. It's the death of social interaction, because we're just going to be at home doing what we're doing now, right? I'm in my home in East London. I don't know where you are, but you're in your home possibly, or in your office in
Yes.
Romania, right?
At my home, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we, you know, and again, we could be anywhere. We're having a perfectly good conversation. There's no lag, you know, all that. But actually, coffee shops are more important
Yes.
now than ever. And that was what everybody said. The coffee shop is going to become the most important thing once the internet takes hold, because you're going to need to go to see friends in a coffee shop. I mean, you know, it could be a bar, it could be whatever, but
Yes,
you
yes.
know,
I understand the concept.
Shop, yeah, the coffee shop, you will become more important. And I think that in the age of AI content, then our job becomes more important. The festival, a curated experience, becomes more and more important, because it's the same as I don't know, it's the same as what you might read now. You know, you listen, there are voices that you listen to, there are voices that you have respect for, and there are new voices that you discover that you think, actually, no, I can understand what they're saying, or what they're, you know, so you hunt out, you seek out that thought process, that tone of voice, that person's ideas, or and I think the more that AI is creating content for us and curating content that already exists, I think it'll become more important to go, no, actually, I know who Darius is, I know what he likes, I know the kind of, you know, crazy shit that he really is into. You know, he loves films with Batmen in it, you know, that you know, have laser eyes, you know. So if I want that, I can always find it, because I know he's done the work for me. Whereas an AI is just going to kind of guess at what, you know, and it'll get better and better and better. But in the same way now, as you know, I'm sure Netflix is already doing, monitoring drop-off points in what you're watching. You know,
Yes,
you
of
start
course.
watching a movie, 3.5 minutes in, you flick to something else. Why did you do that? Is it because there was not enough horror, too much horror, not enough nudity, too much nudity? Not, you know, what is it that they can say, we need more of those? Let's all, you know, because he stayed and he kept watching, and it was the one with the bat people in it. Right, okay, we just make loads of those now. You know, that the AI can do all of that brilliantly, but it can't be the one that turns around and says, why does he keep watching Mystery Science Theater 3000? What is it about that? Because the films are all shit. Films are all garbage and awful, but the common denominator is the funny riffing, that, you know, the talking that goes on, and all the little skits that happen in between. And again, if people out there, if you don't know MST3K, look it up. Mystery Science Theater 3000. It ran for 200 or something episodes in the US. You'll find nearly all of them on YouTube. And they are basically two robots and a guy living in space watching the worst films you'll ever see. And I highly recommend you watch Space Mutiny. I highly recommend you watch Time of the Apes, that you watch Manos, Hand of Fate, and then anything made by Edgewood Studios. Edgewood, EDGEWOOD Studios. David Giancola is the director. So Time Chasers and so on. They're awful, awful, awful films made brilliant by the comedy layer on top. Anyway, what was the question again? What was
Our role as film festivals in the future of
So I said, and
AI
again,
production.
that's what I've just done. You're not going to get from an AI. You know, or at least not at the moment, you're not. At the moment, you're not going to, you know, until we get something that's like Sunny from iRobot, you know, that's got some kind of Asimovian sentience to it, then it's all predicting what you might want. You know, it's what you might like to hear and see. Whereas when we curate, we're not predicting it, we're giving you our opinion.
Correct.
And it's different. It's the same way as we can't keep sending robots to Mars or the moon. At some point we've got to send people back there, because a robot and a set of cameras can tell you the RGB, the hex, and the color value for what you're looking at on the Martian surface, and the color of the sky, and the hint of red in the rocks. But only a human being would even think to say, do you know, in Greece, when the sun shines at about 6 a.m. in the morning,
It's the same like here.
those terracotta roofs and that color, it's a bit like that. You know, get me an AI. When is an AI that can not do that because it's been told those things, but do that because it knows what those things are? And so again, I think that's why curation will continue and be more important than ever.
Thank you, Louis. It was a wonderful time with you. Brilliant. The time just passed away. If I look, we are all over the limit of our program, but it was so nice that I couldn't interrupt you. Thank you again. I hope we will see again. I will really want to see you in person, and in a coffee shop or
Exactly.
where you want to go to a beer. Maybe here in Timisoara we have very good craft beer. So if you like beer, you can come. So thank you again, and do your work as you do, because 23rd edition 23 is a very good number and it has to go up.
Yeah, no, I that's what I hope too, and the same for you. It's been really good to meet you. It's been it's always nice to let people let me rant and talk too much, but no, I've enjoyed it, and it's really good to meet you. And hello to everybody out there, and have a really good festival, and long may you exist. And you've got to get past 5 years. 5 years, when your festival's 5 years old, they say, then that gives you a good basis for continuing to the future. So just need to work hard on that one. And yeah, and hopefully I'm going to China in a month, and we're going to try and get you involved in again trying to form some kind of club between us. And
I'm available on Zoom if they have a place to have a presentation about the festival. Also, if there are meetings and you can stream me or other persons who can't be at the location, it will, I think, a good idea to be present even in a virtual form.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're planning. We'll see how it see how the technology works. But yeah, good stuff. Live long and prosper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.